Thank you, Susan. You know, all those years that I was at the Center for Women's Business Research, it was 20 years, and we were releasing research. One of the questions I was constantly asked is, what is it that you want women to take away? What message do you want women to take away from all the research that you've done? And my answer was, I do not want every woman to become an entrepreneur, but I want every woman to recognize that entrepreneurship and business ownership is a viable career alternative as they think about their future. So I was absolutely delighted to discover that Meredith College is doing just that with its Entrepreneurship Week. And when I was invited to come here this year as part of the Entrepreneurship Week, I was thrilled. I have to tell you, I am humbled to be on the stage, or at least in the presence of, the winners of the business plan competition. And I am so proud of them. And I am proud also of every woman who entered this competition. Just by entering, you each are winners. Now, what I'd like to do is get to know the audience just a little bit. So, how many of you are considering entrepreneurship as a possible career option? Let's see a show of, okay, we got a fair number of people. Good, good. We want the rest of you to be in that, by the time we're through tonight, I want the rest of you to be in that group. How many are actually planning or just starting a business? Good, that's great. And how many own an established business? That's wonderful. Okay, this is exactly the audience I was hoping would be here tonight, and I am delighted. By the way, there will be an opportunity to ask questions at the end of my remarks, so I want you to be thinking as we go through these about what you want to ask, maybe make some notes so that at the end we can have a conversation and a dialogue about entrepreneurship and your questions. Today, we have more women in leadership in the United States and, in fact, around the world than ever before in our history. Women are in the corner office, they're on boards of directors, they're commanding combat troops, and they're on the floor of Congress. But most importantly, women own and run businesses. Women have been starting businesses now at twice the rate of men for 25 years. And in 2008, as you already heard the dean say, 40% of all privately held businesses are 50% or more owned by a woman. That's a total of 10.1 million businesses. And here in the Raleigh-Durham area, there are 34,000 women-owned businesses. And these businesses, those of you who raised your hand and said you're running an established business, these businesses are contributing to the economic vitality of this area by providing jobs for 50,000 people and generating almost $11 billion in revenues. That's pretty exciting. Give yourself a hand. I love it when you can applaud numbers because they mean something. Women's entrepreneurship has become a global phenomenon. Around the world, we see that women-owned businesses are in all industries, including many areas that used to be considered non-traditional for a woman, like engineering, construction, manufacturing, wholesale distribution. In fact, today, it's really hard to say that there is any business that is non-traditional for a woman. Further, these businesses, a substantial number of these businesses, are multi-million-dollar businesses. In fact, when we look at all of the businesses, privately held businesses over $1 million, you notice I'm seeing this sort of bar graph in front of me when I put my hand. So this end of the bar graph, businesses over $1 million, we see 20% of all businesses over $1 million are owned and run by a woman. But what's particularly exciting to me, as someone who's been around women's entrepreneurship for so many years and has had the opportunity to see the evolution, is that the top women business owners are leading in their own style. The Center for Women's Business Research was one of the things we did was we studied women's leadership and management styles. We called our work on these leadership styles, styles of success, because what we wanted to say was not that one style is better than the other. What we wanted to say is that there are multiple styles of success, and they all work. So in our research, we compared women and men entrepreneurs, and a lot of what we found has already made it into the common knowledge. We saw, in fact, that men predominantly use what we've come to call left brain thinking. That's the thinking that's characterized by logic and facts and hierarchy. Women, as you know, were much more likely to use what we've come to call right brain thinking. That's the thinking that's characterized by values, intuition, and relationships. But what never makes it into the common knowledge, that people don't talk about this, the real news in this research, is that women tended to use both sides of the brain. As one friend of mine who is an entrepreneur says, she says, yes, we're whole-brained. So what women do is they want to combine relationships, values, intuition, but they also want facts and logic. The result is, as one woman put it, she said, you know, we look at the facts, certainly, but we supplement the facts with the organizational and people considerations that are often not reflected in the numbers. We see that women leaders tend to be more inclusive, more consultative, and more collaborative. And these are the very talents that are essential to the future of business as we come out of this worldwide recession. You know, coming out of this recession is not going to be about recreating what we had in the past. And I think that's one reason why it's so exciting to me to see that there are so many young women and men here in the room and here at Meredith College who are thinking possibly about how do they make their contribution to our economy and our business world. Because we are going to need a business world that develops new forms of organization, that looks at the ways that we manage and lead and do business very differently. And this is what the talents that women bring to leadership are going to be most valuable for. It was interesting to me, I'd recently found a survey that I just love. It's a survey of corporations in Europe. It's something that, this was the second year they had done this survey, and I guess it's going to become an annual survey. But what they found for the second year in a row is when they asked employees to rate women CEOs and men CEOs, the women CEOs rated higher than the men CEOs on their ability to do the job, on being principled and honest, and most importantly, on their understanding of what their employees went through in their day-to-day lives. Women's leadership styles are making a difference, and they are really important in today's business world. Well, with so many women being so successful as business owners, the perennial question is, what differentiates the women with the larger, fastest-growing businesses from those with the smaller businesses? And most importantly, what can women entrepreneurs who aspire to achieve high business growth learn from the women who are the leaders? Well, that's what I spent 20 years studying, researching that very question, conducting research with thousands of women business owners, and working with leading women entrepreneurs and top corporate executives. So when I wanted to answer this question, which is what I like to say I'm doing my career in 20-year segments. I spent 20 years in corporate America, I spent 20 years leading a nonprofit, and now my third 20 years I'm spending taking all the information and the knowledge and the experiences that I had, pulling it together and speaking and writing about women's entrepreneurship. So I combed through the research that we had done at the Center for Women's Business Research. I looked at the research that others had done and added in my personal experiences. And as I looked at it, what I saw time and again were the same consistent 8 factors that showed up as critical to business growth. Together, I am calling these factors the Catapult principle, because a catapult launches objects at the speed of light. And I believe that these 8 critical success factors will launch you and your business onto a high growth trajectory. Now, I'm going to be talking mostly in terms of entrepreneurship, but based on my experience and the reading that I've done, it's quite clear to me that the 8 factors that I'm going to be talking about apply no matter where you are in the business world, the nonprofit world, your family, and your community world. So I think these have a much broader application. The first of these is to define success in your own terms. You know, it's so easy to let others, well-intentioned others, parents, colleagues, teachers, children, for those of you who have employees, even employees, it's so easy to let them define success for you. And you ought to consider their ideas. They may see strengths in you that you just have never thought about. But it's your vision for your life that's important. And what I hear from successful women business owners time and again, that part of defining success in your own terms is knowing your values. The women business owners with the fastest growing larger businesses know their values, and they say, you know, everything else around you can change. It can all be in a state of flux, but your values are your core, and they never change. This is critical because these values then become the filter for all of your decisions about your business, your family, your community, and your personal well-being. Furthermore, these women business owners say, you know what? We know our values, and we have the courage to act upon them. Leading women entrepreneurs have a holistic view of success. They think of success, if you will, as composed of 4 interlocking circles, integrating business, family, community, and personal well-being, with each complementing and supplementing the other. And when I ask top women business owners what advice they would give to other women, they consistently say one of the most important things is to believe in yourself and to believe in your vision and your way of leading. So I urge you, take the time to think about your life. This is a wonderful time to be gathering ideas and to think about your life and what you want it to be. You know, it's so easy to say, this is what is expected of me. We as women are often, we're exquisitely sensitive to what others think. This is what is expected of me, and that's what I'll do. I urge you, take control of your destiny by saying, this is what I want for me. Number 2 is to set high goals. You know, setting high goals is not just a motivational myth. I have hard data that shows that the only statistically significant predictor of whether a woman will get expansion capital and grow her business is not the length of time in business, it is not the industry, it's not the size of the business. The only statistically significant predictor is her goal for growth. And you need to set high goals from the very beginning. And I think you can apply this to anything, whether it's to a business that you're starting or your college career. Set high goals from the beginning. Because, say, the women business owners who have the larger, faster growing businesses, this changes the way you think about your business. And for you in college, it changes the way you think about your life. It changes the way you make decisions. And it influences how you set up your business. Because if you have a high goal for growth, you will set up the processes and procedures and systems that allow you to collect the financial and operational performance data that will stand you in good stead and allow you in 2 or 3 years to go to the bank for financing, because they're looking for that historic trend. The other thing that I hear that's really important is when these women achieve their goals, they just ratchet them up. We did a survey of women business owners with businesses that were 25 million or over, and we asked them, what are your goals for the next 5 years? And it was very interesting. The goals that they reported for the next 5 years either met or exceeded what they had achieved in growth in the previous 5 years. When you achieve a goal, you just ratchet it up. Number 3 is to think of yourself and become the CEO. The role of the CEO is to focus on the health of the business. And what we find in the research is that many women say, and we ask them about what size do you want your business to grow to, they say, I want my business to stay at a size where I can personally be involved in delivering the products and the services. Because I believe when I'm personally involved, I assure that we have the quality which is our competitive advantage. And say, women with the larger business, you know what? When you think that way about your business, you become the greatest barrier to the growth and success of that business. Because when you are doing the business, you do not have the time to be the strategic leader. But how do I do it, say women? Well, say the women who have the larger, faster growing businesses, you build a team of top talent. You create a culture that reflects your values and institutionalize your policy and procedures. And this frees you up so that you can focus on the strategy and the health of the business. Think of yourself as the CEO. Number 4 is to keep your eye on the money. And I know all our economics and accounting professors over here are going to say, yes, yes, yes. When we did research and we looked at what differentiated the women with the larger, faster growing businesses from those with the smaller businesses, consistently a key differentiator is the difference in how they embrace financials. The women with the larger businesses produce more financial reports, they produce them more often, and they embrace those reports not only as part of their day-to-day operational decisions, but as part of their whole strategic planning. They become educated in business finance. They're taking registrations for the business finance course, I think, over here. And in fact, one of the things that I hear often on the surveys is, you know, if I regret anything, it's not knowing more about business finance early on. You need to focus on your relationships with the financial institutions, especially the banks, and change your view from being a supplicant when you go to the bank to realizing that this is a business relationship which must be nurtured like every other relationship. You know, we women are relationship-oriented, and we build relationships with our customers, with our employees, with our vendors. But we don't think about building a relationship with a banker. Develop a relationship with a banker, make the banker part of your business advisory team. And finally, again, something that women often are very uncomfortable doing, you need to give priority to building wealth. Wealth for the business, but also, very importantly, wealth for yourself. Number 5 is to treat your time and energy as scarce resources, as scarce as any other resource in your business or family budget. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Balance is a myth. Forget it. It's not going to happen. I don't know about the rest of you. I have yet to figure out what balance is. Yeah, I have this vision of a scale. So, okay, all parts of my life are supposed to be equal weight. No, ain't going to happen. What I hear time and again from women business owners is to focus on integration. Remember, we talked about those 4 interlocking circles for each area of your life. And you need to go back to each of those areas. And using your values, you need to focus on each area and set priorities for each of these areas. This is the foundation now of how you are going to manage your time and your energy. So you set priorities. And based on your values, you have to decide what takes precedence at different times. Sometimes it's the family. Sometimes it's your classmates, it's your community. Sometimes it's your personal well-being. And you know, everything isn't going to be equal all the time. Depending upon what's going on in each area, each of these areas, your daily priorities may shift. In fact, should shift. And I don't know about you, but I spent an awful lot of time when I was younger worrying that if I let my personal priorities affect my business life, or my business priorities affect my personal life, that I was going to miss out on something important in one of those areas. But you know, what I found out, and what I hear from other women who are also facing these issues, is that it is amazing what kinds of workarounds can be found when you clearly communicate your priorities and hold fast to them. The other thing that's important about these priorities is it helps you decide how to use your time. You know, as you go through college, we have this whole group who's just won business plan competition, and people are going to be after them for advice, perhaps even to speak to groups. People will come to you, participate in this organization, be on this board, etc. And there are more opportunities than you have time for. And so you have to use your values and your priorities to say, which of these are the right ones for me at this time in my life, and which of these should I turn down? They're all good. And you may well believe in the mission of any of these groups, but you have to look at how does it fit in with your priorities, because you do not have infinite time. Set your priorities and then use them as your filter. Number 6 is to invest in yourself. Invest in yourself intellectually. The most successful women business owners are lifelong learners. They're constantly going to seminars, reading books, going to courses, talking to other people who are successful to learn. Invest in your health. Women business owners say, you know, health is critical to performing well. And finally, invest in your spirituality, whether it's an organized religion or something that you do through your reading or your contemplation. Focus on your inner core and your spirituality. Number 7 is to build multiple networks. I find, and the research shows, that the women who have the larger, faster-growing businesses join more organizations and join a more diverse group of organizations. In business, they'll join organizations about their industry. They'll join organizations where they have a chance to get to meet customers. They'll be active in the community. Similarly, you here at college have the opportunity to look at the various organizations and use these as opportunities to expand your horizons and to join a variety of organizations. But don't forget say the women business owners, that the most successful, that the most important thing is that you build networks of women leaders who are willing to share their experiences with you, support you in the tough times, and celebrate with you in the good times. Now, my final success factor: always leave room for serendipity. Serendipity is that magical word that Mary Poppins uses to describe the joys and opportunities that appear unexpectedly. And she makes it clear that you have to be open to the possibilities. What's interesting to me is a lot of times as I'm doing my research, I will show women business owners and women business leaders these 8 success factors and say, choose the top 3. Always leave room for serendipity is invariably one of the top 3. And what they tell me is they say, you know, don't jam-pack your calendar so full that you can't take the time to observe what is going on in the world around you. Find time to let your mind wander wherever it takes you, to think strategically about your business, about what you're doing in school, about your family and friends, or about your life and where you are going. Be open to seizing the moment, whether it's in business or in your personal life. In business and in school, it means being open to trying something new and unexpected, a new project that you've never taken on, a new opportunity, a new role that you've never done before. And to be open to seizing those special, unplanned moments with family, friends, and colleagues, to celebrate or just do something together. Now, I suspect there's no one in the room who is old enough, as I am, to remember a very early AT&T commercial for cell phones. In this commercial, the woman is on the phone talking to a client, and the children are getting ready to go to daycare. And the little girl looks up at her mother and says, "Mommy, when can I be a client?" Oh my gosh, you know, I still get tears when I talk about that. And of course, now this is a commercial for cell phones back in the early days. The next scene is that they're at the beach playing, and the mother is using her phone to stay up with business. But I think the important thing about this is that the it's these serendipitous moments that bring joy, delight, and new vision into our personal and professional lives. And we need to grab hold of them. Now, I want to conclude by telling you a story. Many of you know this story. It's the story of the little engine that could. And if you're wondering why my book is quite so torn, it's because the dog ate the cover. I'm not sure it's because she liked the book so much or she just wanted to eat the cover. And many of you know the story, I'm sure. It's the story of the train that is filled with toys and candy for the children on the other side of the hill. And the engine broke down. And the toys got off the train, and they said, "What will we do?" And then they saw the passenger engine coming. "Oh, Mr. Passenger Engine, the children on the other side of the hill are waiting for the toys and candy. Will you take us over the hill?" And the passenger engine said, "Oh, of course not. I'm much too important." And he huffed and he puffed off to his roundhouse. And along came the freight engine. "Oh, Mr. Freight Engine, will you take us over the hill to the children who are waiting for the toys and the candy?" "Huh, I've got too many things to do." And he huffed and he puffed off to his roundhouse. And along comes the little blue engine. Along comes the little blue engine. "Little blue engine, will you take us over the hill to the children who are waiting for the candy and the toys?" And the little blue engine. Now, I have to tell you, this book is written by a man, and it was copyrighted for the first time in 1930, and I am not making this up. The little blue engine, she said, I know that this is very important. I've never been over the hill. I don't know if I can do it, but this is important. And she hooked herself up to the train, and she pulled, she huffed and she puffed, and she went up the hill. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And she went over the hill and she said, I knew I could. And I am so pleased to be in a room of so many people who said, there is no challenge that I will not take control of and conquer. Thank you so much.